loving ourselves, loving yourself. Anybody who's watching this first, most, and always, and even in all ways. I wish I had a parent who parents like I parent, but I don't, and they can't.
Hello and welcome to Hello Moxie. I am so delighted to be joined by my lovely friend, Lisa Kohn. She and I met in heroic public speaking last year. And when you meet Lisa, she's just one of those people that you will never forget. She's like this tiny little thing, but she has like the energy of like a whole room of people. It's incredible. Like, I'm like, how is it possible to have someone so amazing in one little beautiful package? And she's incredible. So Lisa, thanks for coming on the show. I have been dying to interview you. I've been so looking forward to this. How are you?
As I just said earlier, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm sharing that because every time I share that with people, I'm like, that's a good word. I'm good and I'm okay. So I'm okay. Holding both.
I love the honesty. It's so important. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, I'm so glad you're okay and you're here with us today. And
I'm actually deliriously happy and I'm really good this morning. Looking at your smiling face, I'm like, I'm going to smile the whole time, people, if you're watching this. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'd love for you to share with our listeners just a little bit about Lisa. Tell us about who you are. What's lighting you up?
Who is Lisa? It's always such a fun. I'm a lot of big fun.
That's for sure.
I found this necklace. This is me. I found this necklace, bought it for my kid's partner, then thought they may not actually feel comfortable wearing it, but I like it. And so it's on me. I am, well, we started this. If you look carefully, there is it's turned around. There's my, bird feeder back there. I am a lover of goldfinches, of yellow birds. We could talk about that more. Someone in heroic was like, "It's amazing, you made that up." I am a person with an interesting past, and because of my interesting past, which we will go into, I have done a lot of work on my head and my heart and my body, and I am here to hopefully share that. And yes, I'm a cult survivor. Yes, I'm a C-suite advisor, a leadership consultant, and executive coach, but I am a person of love. Love is my language. Love is my religion. Really, I live to give and receive and share and bring the world to love. And as we'll probably talk about, it is especially, and I never figured out the way to do it. It says first, most, always. Loving ourselves, loving yourself. Anybody who's watching this first, most, and always, and even in all ways. And I just not one, maybe there's a few people, but most people I know need at least a wee bit more of that. So yeah, there's probably a bit of me in there that I've just explained.
First, a little bit, yeah. First, most, and always, and in all ways is so beautiful and so true about you. And you're right. We do need, man, if we had more of that, if we gave more of that first, most, and always to ourselves, there would be so much more love in the world and so much more just joy, because that's where it starts. It starts right there.
It starts right there. It starts deep inside. It starts in all that stuff inside us. And most of us probably did never get enough. Like even with the good childhoods, we did not get enough. Something was off. We learned something wonky. And just let go, get on an airline, right? And they say, put your own oxygen mask on first. If I'm not full, my ability to give and help anybody else is very limited. So not only, is it good for others for me to love myself first, most, and always? And I've had that discussion with people many times who disagree. But it feels so fucking good. Just feels good to have that. And that's someone who, for decades and decades and decades didn't realize how not good I felt inside. And then I found that out, and then I worked really hard to feel good. So this is the part of the key, part of my key. Yeah.
Tell me more about your journey to finding that out. I want to know, like, what was your childhood like, and walk us through what was your lived experience as a child, and And what did it take
My
you to
lived
find that out?
experience as a child. It's very hard to put it in. You've read my memoir. It's very hard to put it into a little bit.
It's
Even when
true.
I
I've
get
read your book, so yeah.
interviewed, and people like when the book came out and the memoir came out, people
Uh-huh.
were interviewing me to like write about it, and they always got something wrong because it's just convoluted. But the simplest way I describe my childhood is the best seats I ever had at Madison Square Garden were at my mother's wedding, because my mom got married on July 1st, 1982, along with 2,074 other couples in Madison Square Garden, the huge concert and sports arena in New York City. For those of you who don't know what that means, I grew up in the Unification Church, the Moonies. It was the cult of all cults in America in the 70s. And it's still there. So I grew up in a cult, a religious cult with one parent. And on the other hand, the best cocaine I ever had was from my father's friend, the judge. And yes, he really was a judge, and it was good cocaine, and there was a lot of it. There was, I can tell stories where, like, he once gave my boyfriend and I too much to finish. It was like, have a good time. So I somehow realized along the way I'm a child of the 70s because I had sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and the squalor of New York City and East Village, my hippie father and my hippie mother, who then turned religious fervor and fanatic and cult survivor. So that's the little bit of my childhood. And then, I mean, you wrap up, like, I am also a cancer survivor. Like I was, it is actually right now the 3-year anniversary of it all hitting the fan, and still clean. Scan next month, but still believe clean.
Amazing.
When I can always, thank you. I can always say stupid things. And when I first was diagnosed, I remember saying to my therapist, I don't want to also be a cancer survivor. And I'm very happy to be a cancer survivor. It's definitely better than the alternative. But if you name the survivorship, and I have it somewhere pretty much. Shit happened before the cult. A lot of stuff happened in the cult. Leaving it was traumatizing in a lot of ways. It totally tore me apart. I did cold turkey. I mean, we can go into any of this. Long story short, punished myself, stopped eating, did a hell of a lot of cocaine, played with every little addiction I could, got in really bad relationships, crawled into Al-Anon because tell me if he's an alcoholic, there's no way I would ever be with an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons why. I grew up in a cult, and alcoholism and addiction is all over my family. And even then, on this journey of healing, and then really healing a lot, right? All this stuff. And then trauma healing, EMDR. And then when the memoir was just about to be published in 2018, I found the cult survivor community through someone I met on Twitter, because you do make friends on Twitter. And then I realized, and then I found the second gen community, those of us born and raised. And then I did a deep dive since 2018 into what was specifically intentionally done to my brain on top of everything else. And then when I was literally turning to my therapist, I'm like, what have I been doing for the last 20 years in therapy? And we did a deep, and the shit that came out, I can talk more about it. And the rewiring of my brain really, really, really intentionally started there. Until I said to you just when we started, I crawled into Al-Anon in 1986. Tell me if he's an alcoholic. And there's this saying they have of what other people think of you is none of your business. And it was either the end of last year or the beginning of this year. And I'm driving to my myofascial, my bodywork massage, because that's one thing I do. And to release, the body does keep the score. And all of a sudden I start laughing hysterically. I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard. I can't stop laughing. And I'm like, oh, that's what it means. It really doesn't matter if you're mad at me. It very well has nothing to do with me. And if I did do something wrong, I make amends, I make repair. And if you're still there, it's not mine, because I was so groomed and carved and raised. And in order to survive, I could sense your needs before you knew you had them and meet them. And when I stopped doing that, people don't like it.
So true. I can so relate to all of that you just shared. I was carved too. So, oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack there. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. So your memoir, first of all, for listeners, is To the Moon and Back. It's a beautiful memoir. I read it in like a day. It was just so riveting from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I think what's extraordinary about your experience is like as a child of the 70s, you were literally living in two worlds as a child. Like you would on the weekends be going to this very strict, cult environment. Your mom wasn't living with you. She was so in the, which is, we'll have to unpack that. But then at the same time during the week, you would be at home where your dad would be taking care of you. And he was like doing cocaine with his buddies all week long. And just like to me, just the dichotomy of having to navigate and those two worlds, mentally, that must have been such a mind fuck.
Yeah. So I literally said to my brother at one point, right? Because, the one constant in my childhood was my a little bit older brother. And I said to him, how did we go back and forth? Like, how could we possibly know the Messiah, be with the Messiah, be best friends with the Messiah's kids on the weekends, and then live with Satan? Literally, my dad was Satan in my head, right? And in my whole being. And Robbie, he goes, I don't know, I wasn't there, right? Because I think I went like this. When I went home, like I shut down because there was no way to there was no way. There was there's just, like no wonder my brain has taken, most
survival
people
mode
won't,
and dissociation.
decades to unrevive. Yeah, survival mode. Yeah. We were disassociation. I never actually realized I disassociated
Same.
until, right? Until I started doing something and I was like, oh, and I started going into my body and I was like, oh, I've been out of my body so much. No idea. No, like some people know, no idea. Like that's
Same.
my coping mechanisms were so deeply whatever, like you, right? That I didn't even realize. Like I didn't even realize what I was doing because it was I can't explain the mind fuck of just being raised with a Messiah, right? And as
And
you
really
know,
believing that that's the Messiah.
knowing it wasn't belief,
Yeah.
it was knowing. Like it he absolutely was. And as I was saying to you, like I have some relationships that are like having weird times, and my therapist who calls me on shit, she said to me, why, oh, vulnerable, why does everyone need to see your beauty and light? I was like, and I went home and I did my homework and I thought about it and I came back and I said, well, I mean, I like when everybody does. Right. But I don't think everybody needs to. But like when people have been very close to me and been that love and then pull back, you know, because of my past, it's really deeply hard. My mom, what should I do, kids? You should leave us. Like, but also as one of my high school friends says to me, anybody would be hurt by things I'm hurt by. It's not all about my past. But I said, also, I think the trick is that, I mean, I was best friends with Moons, Reverend Moon, some of Moon's children. So he's the Messiah. They are the true children. They are beyond holy, beyond special, beyond everything. So they're the true children. And then there's kids called the blessed children. Those are the children who has these mass weddings, and those are called blessings. And then you, by all the like weird things you have to do preparing and the weird ways you have to have sex afterwards in front of his picture, sprinkling salt in certain positions. It's bizarre. I learned after, right? You're removed from the original sin that happened when Adam and Eve had sex before they were supposed to. A lot of doctrine there. And so these kids are born without original sin. So like the true children, the blessed children, and then there's me, this like sinful, tainted. I do believe I was sexually molested before I came into this puritanical cult. I was definitely groomed by men older than me in the puritanical cult. Like my dad used to offer to sell me to his friends for cocaine. One friend, sleazy friend, like there's a lot of stuff that makes me know I'm evil and bad. And so that, right, growing up with that hierarchy, and again, left in early 80s just dawned on me last week, right? Growing up in that hierarchy, I don't even remember what your question was about this, but growing up in that hierarchy makes me more like aware, like there's a trigger of like, I'm really not enough. Now, I don't believe that anymore. It is clear and different inside, like I've talked about, and I can talk about that. But as we said, there are still times it gets triggered because like there's no way not to have something when like literally the Messiah's children, the blessed children, and then you actually behave better than them, and you are supposed to keep them in line and make them not
Oh,
misbehave. And you bow to them. You bow to the true children. When you see them, you bow to them and then you play. But they are like they're the Messiah's kids. So they're like beyond the Pope, beyond reverend. Like they're like, imagine if Jesus had kids, right? Like, yeah. So,
yeah. And
yeah.
when you're a
So,
child, you're so impressionable. Like,
yes.
of course, it makes so much sense that
Yeah.
when were you indoctrinated into the cult? How old were you?
I was 10. And as I
Yeah.
like to say to people, it was a haven compared to everything before then.
Right. So it
So
was
it
kind
was
of, yeah.
It was wonderful, yeah. So and people are like, well, why did you believe? I'm like, well, why did you believe in your Judaism, your Catholicism, or your communism, or whatever it is that was in your household, in the air and the water and the dinner table, right? Your mother says, this is the Messiah, and you're like, okay,
It's
yeah,
just true when you're a kid. I mean, your
it's
parents
just
are
true.
everything.
Yeah,
They are your world. And if they're
yeah,
teaching you something, the only thing you know is not to like, that's what children follow their parents.
yes,
And you
yeah,
want their approval, you want their acceptance. And
yeah,
so it makes so much sense that this, and I, from your memoir, there was a lot of chaos in your life before that. And here was structure, right?
there was
There was
structure.
structure there.
Yeah, yeah,
So it makes so much sense as a young, impressionable child who adored her mother, and
yes.
your mother is like, just totally in, and it makes so much sense that you ended up in that place.
to to give you a sense of the chaos, and we can go to whatever or
Mm-hmm.
not. So you read the memoir and you read
Mm-hmm.
the scene of when my mom's boyfriend, who I do think is the person who molested me. When I said that to mom, she's like, that makes sense.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So, and like, he beat her once. I mean, I didn't know that, beat her so much she went to the hospital. There was one time, it's in the book, where we're visiting a friend of hers, the four of us, and he's threatening to kill her, like, get the kids out of the house or I will kill her. And so her friend kind of sends us out into the dark, and my brother and once, like, I'm at the gym on the bike, and my brother and I are texting, and we're arguing over whether he was choking her so she couldn't make noise, or had a knife to her throat so she could make noise. And Robbie, who does remember things more than I do, because I did black out a lot, says, yeah, and he was naked on top of her, and they were in bed. So he's like raping her, killing. But
Mm.
Robbie and I are literally arguing. No, it was a choke. No, it was a no, it was a. It's like
Oh my
yeah. So that's
gosh.
like, yeah. So the church was like a haven, and everybody loved us, and there were lots of older, bigger brothers and sisters, and structure. And my mom started wearing a bra and stopped cursing and became more like other parents, and just like, all these things, like gave up her hippiness, and stopped her no talking days and all the stuff. I mean, she'd always been searching, but yeah. And so yeah, when she literally said, I need to be more involved, what do you think, what do you two think I should do? We were like, well, you should obviously leave us and move into the church. And yeah, so not only did she leave, but she asked us. So yeah, yeah,
Which is
yeah,
even more of like the manipulation as a child to be put
yeah,
in that situation,
yeah, yeah,
and to have to make that decision, and
yeah,
for it to be put on you like at
yes,
such a young age.
yes,
So so difficult.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
how did you oh my gosh, there's so many questions I have. So
Part one of
so
the podcast.
so I know. So your mom, she by choice chose to leave you, but because she was pressured by the church to go and serve there. And it was like divine calling for her to go and help the Messiah, right? And
Yes.
she came to you and asked you and said, "This is what I think." And basically, that's how it went down. She asked for your permission, and you said yes. Is that
She
basically
asked
how?
us to make the decision. She didn't even ask us for permission. She just was like, what do you think? What do you two think I should do? Yeah. And there
Oh.
was no other choice but to say, you should go. And yeah, I mean, the mind
What
fuck
do you
of
think
it
would have
is,
happened if you would have said no?
it's like, my therapist is like, what would you be like if you hadn't gone through all this? I'm like, I have no idea. No one has ever asked me that. That's amazing. I mean, I can't fathom saying no. I mean, in the church, there's a concept of indemnity, which means, suffering to pay for the sins of your ancestors, and so your descendants don't need to suffer. And the more you suffer, the better you are. And in the church, I mean, I don't know if you know the story of Abraham and Isaac, where
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Isaac knew, like Abraham sacrificed. Well, we were taught that Isaac knew that his father was going to kill him. And so Isaac laid down for his father to kill him for God. This is what we were taught and what we were taught as kids, right? And, and the individual sacrifices for the family sacrifices for the nation sacrifices for the society sacrifices for the world. So my brain can't even comprehend anywhere that could have helped us say no. And then you say yes and you miss her, and then you're sinful for missing her. It's a whole other thing. But if we'd said no, I mean, I think eventually she would have gone anyway. I think eventually she just would have gone anyway. Yeah, because she says to me once, like, do you think I was brainwashed? And I'm like, it doesn't excuse what happened, but it excuses what happened. Like, I don't think you could have done what you did. And the things you did, even going through, like the times we were never allowed in the house where she lived, right? So we couldn't see her, and like all this shit that happened. If you had your real, like if you weren't brainwashed, if you weren't under control, but like they're called first gens, like many people who join a first gen, it's hard for her to acknowledge that she wasn't, like it wasn't her choice. So it's a very convoluted
Oh, yeah. The
thing.
complexity.
Yeah.
There's so much
Yeah.
coercive control there.
There's
And it's
so
so
much
insidious.
course. It's so insidious. You don't even know it's there. Like all the teachings and the words. I mean, Moon was brilliant in how he set this up. The words and the teachings are just, we were literally taught that if you ever question anything, it's Satan inside you. So as soon as you start to think for yourself, you're like terrified, because Satan is trying to win you back from God, and God's heart has been broken for 6,000 years. And if you miss your mother, you are breaking God's heart. You are causing God to suffer. Like it's brilliant in its ability to control, which, like, to go, and we'll get there, like, which is why why I did heroic, and why I want to tell the story of the possibility of healing from whatever the hell happens to us, because it is possible. But yeah, coercive control beyond, and that's what I realized. Like, when your brain is supposed to be developing and this happens, it messes you in. I can meet a person from a different cult and a different country, and we are exactly the same on the inside. Like almost exactly the same. We can have this, same reaction, same thought process, same thing going on when somebody says something. It's crazy.
So tell me more about that. Like, when somebody says something, like, tell me a trigger. Tell me a trigger, and tell me what your brain naturally wants to do because of the cult coercive control.
Oh, so there's so this is not exactly that, but when the memoir was published, I was on Megyn Kelly, back when there was a Megyn Kelly show, and they were doing the pre-interview, and so I forget what, like, I know definitely the producer asked me, do you think Moon believed that he was the Messiah? And I say, if enough people bow to you, eventually you believe it, kind of thing. But he asked me something, and at that time, I still didn't realize all this. I could not speak negative about Moon. You see me. I'm very rarely at a loss for words. Maybe too many
and
sometimes,
you're very, very honest and direct. And you say what you think.
This is what would happen. Like, I couldn't actually talk because my brain was like, couldn't like this. I couldn't do it, right? Because all of that carving was in there. But it's like, so yeah, I used to fly to Scotland, and it would be like academics and a JW, former Jehovah's Witness, who was raised in Jehovah's Witness, and I. And so, like, one of them showed in Jehovah's Witness, or in JW, they now have cartoons for kids. So there's this one where the kid has like a toy superpower person, which is, you're not supposed to have anything like that, right? And so he's playing, and then the mom is like, how do you think Jehovah will feel about this? What? And I'm looking at him, and you can, like, it's this immediate sense of like, I'm breaking God's heart, right? Like, I
The guilt and the
Yeah,
shame.
the guilt and the shame. It's just so deep, deep, deep. The self, I realized the level of self-loathing and self-revulsion that
Yeah.
was baked into me. Or the, like, he also had a near suicide attempt. Or, just like one of the academics would say something like, that made sense about the language that was used or the way you're coerced and your immediate reaction. And that was like many years ago. I might be different now. Our immediate reaction was like, ugh! And I look at him like, he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you have
And
to like
it's just the
calm your
shame
body
and the guilt
down.
bubbling
The,
up.
sh- the shame and the guilt and the like, your brain is like, no, that's not true. 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 Like, at some point, like my older child is in Minneapolis and they've become not, I don't know, more, but more Jewish. Like, and they go to this amazing temple. And I was there visiting them and we went to Shabbat services and like religion can be mildly weird for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And, they were talking about chapter 2 in Genesis. It was right after Kavanaugh was either had just been put in the Supreme Court or almost was. And she was making these analogies to, the fall of man, chapter 2 in Genesis. And my brain is going, no, it was sex. It was sex. It was sex. It was sex. Like, I don't think that's true, but like, and that was what, but my brain, like
Yeah.
it is really, that was before I really unwired it as much. And it just like, it contains in order to be safe, my brain had to, like, I can feel it in my body. And so I'm doing this, like, my brain had to contain itself. So the triggers are that either the self-loathing and like the
Mm-hmm.
shame beyond, like deep guttural. I'm that like gross Voldemort at the end of Harry Potter blobby thing. Sorry, everybody. Revulsion used to be in me, or the complete inability for my brain to function, right? And and even still always little things will trigger me. People will say something like "whoa" or yeah,
And
but
you have to
yeah,
kind of like process and work back and be like,
yeah,
nope,
yeah,
question
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I can
and
relate to that on some level for sure.
yeah,
Growing up
yeah,
so wasn't raised in a cult, but my dad could have been a cult leader. He was
yes, cult of one,
the
yes,
cult of
yeah,
one for sure. And
yeah,
he was very, very religious. And he definitely used religion as a tool of manipulation as a child.
yeah,
So I can relate in many ways to your experience in a very different way. And the shame too, like you can't do anything wrong or you're bad. Or
yeah,
like when when your mom came and asked you, what should I do? No was not even an option, right? Like that's how it was in my child. You didn't say no. You didn't say
yeah,
no. And if you did say no, there were consequences for saying no.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
learned
yeah, not
you
yeah,
learned that's just not what you do. You just go along, right?
yeah,
It just becomes
yeah.
wired that way. What do you think is the difference between organized religion and cults?
I just had this conversation with someone dear to me who said that excuse me, everyone, that I said something that made it, that they believed that I thought that Judaism was a cult.
Wow. Yeah.
So the difference, I believe, what makes it cultish, if you will, and
Mm-hmm.
some people don't use cult, whatever, is the extremism.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a model called the bite model, and it's when they control your behavior, information, thinking, and emotions. So to me, it's the sense of all or nothing, the sense of evil and good. I mean, it doesn't actually even have to be a religion, right? The sense of, I've had people say to me, Catholicism is like a cult, like it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like belief, I think, is a wonderful thing, right? Like if faith can be a wonderful thing. I have faith, as I said, love, God, my God is love, whatever, or God is God, they, he, shit, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And the connection I have with the universe is a sense of faith, and it is a sense of grounding. It's when it's the right and wrong, it's the good and evil, it's those people are bad and we're good, and like it's
Mm,
that extremeness that,
yeah.
like, and that's why you can have political cults, you can have self-help cults. I had a client who was raised in one. You can have, you know, but the marketing, whatever, the multi-level
Oh yeah,
marketing, whatever,
multi-level
can be
marketing.
cultish. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, the brain does these things and everything. Yeah, like all of that. It's the control. It's the
It's
control
the
and the
control.
otherism, right? The otherism. So yeah, if you believe or practice whatever, that's great. But if you if it's coercion, if you are like ostracized when you leave, if you're not allowed to leave, if your behavior is controlled in a way that is not comfortable. Like some people, there are rules to the religion and they follow them and they're okay and that's okay. And I would be like, is it okay, or are you conditioned to be it that it's okay? And that's not mine to judge. I just ask, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
was okay with everything. So yeah, it's like it's a slippery line in many ways. But like I hate when people are like, well, this company's like a cult, and I just want to be like it's not true. And I know why people say things, but so that's why cultish is a good thing. A little bit culty is a
Mm-hmm.
podcast I was on. Like it's a little bit culty. A lot of things are, but
Mm-hmm.
it's really the control, the coercion, the mind control, the like thing that keeps you from being yourself or loving yourself. Anything that teaches you that you're not good enough unless you X, Y, and Z, which is why it's a slippery slope with some religions, right?
True.
To me is a little bit cultish because it is controlling
Mm-hmm.
you for their benefit.
Mm.
I don't believe in a God. I actually saw Steve. Oh my God, the comedian who did like the 12 curse words in the 70s or whatever, and just whatever. And I cannot. Carlin, whatever his first name is. This is the result of many things to my brain. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Eventually, it
I don't
comes to
know
me.
either. It's okay.
Thank you. Like I give the list of what happened to my brain, and people are like, "And you're still here." But I was watching him, and he
And
was like,
marvelous.
God, there the people believe in this man in the sky who watches you all the time and sends you to this place where you're burned forever. Blah blah. If you do this, it goes on and on. And he goes, and he loves you. Like that to me is it's I don't believe in that God. I don't
Mm.
believe. I don't.
Do
Yeah,
you
I don't
believe in
know.
God?
I believe in love. I believe in
Mm.
energy and love, and sometimes I'm still conditioned to call it God.
Mm-hmm.
God, goddess, that's what I play with it. I don't react to the word God
Mm-hmm.
in a bad way, unless even when it's used against me. But, you know, I, yeah, so
Yeah.
that is and I think to me, that's the same thing. If whatever there is, I can't believe there's nothing. And if it's quantum physics, we are all energy. Everything is energy. We are the same energy. And, I've been in a course, I'm trained in, coaching energy and coaching deep emotions, right? And I swear I can be on a Zoom with someone I don't know in a different country with our eyes closed, and I can sense what's going on with them in their body and in their emotions and say it. And they're like, yes, that's exactly right. Like, so we are so, it is,
Hypervigilance.
well, well, maybe, but also just energy. Like if I
Mm.
sit quiet with you, I can start, if I go out of myself, I can start to feel where you are. So maybe the hypervigilance, but also just, we are all of the same energy, right? And
Mm.
like, to me, there's this beautiful energy, and then there's this energy that we get caught in, which is all the shame and the like all the hate and all of that. And I do believe we can vibrate at that level more often as humanity. And if we don't, we're in trouble. But I do believe it. And so to me, that energy is the essence of God or love or beauty or
Mm-hmm.
joy, or goldfinches haven't showed up yet, or like whatever. Yeah. I made up
Mm.
goldfinches. I mean, they're real, but I make up the meaning. So it was Mona, one of our classes. She's like, you totally made this into something, and it's nothing. I'm like, yep, that's it. And that's what we can do. We can
Yeah.
find something to decide that it will make us feel better. And soon it makes us feel better. It's brilliant. It's not mine, so I can say it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. It's how the brain
Yeah.
works.
It's how the brain works. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's so much to unpack there.
We're gonna like
Oh.
go through and be like, the number of times you said there's so much to
Oh
unpack,
my
which is
gosh.
why
I
we're
know. I feel like we
keynoting, right?
need
We're
5
spreading the message.
podcast episodes because my brain is just so like full of just
I will happily
questions.
talk to you for as long as you want, as many times as you want, because you are making my day. You're making my other people may get tired of listening, but we'll have fun. So it's up to
No,
you. It's your
like
podcast.
I know,
It's your
right?
podcast.
What's
Yeah.
clear to me is like when I was reading your memoir, one of the things that really struck me is the confusion that you felt. Like the confusion that you felt as a teenager as you started to kind of like it's like you had this awareness and you're very discerning, Lisa. And so there was like this inner intuition that you had that was like something's not right here. but then there was so much pressure and coercive control that you were butting up
Yeah.
against. And it felt like, as I was reading it, like it was kind of like you had this slow awakening to the truth, to the reality. Is that what that experience was like for you? Like, tell me about the confusion. When did that start, and how did that confusion eventually help you come to the truth? Or what helped you kind of like awaken to what was really happening with the cult?
So yeah, I left not awakened. So I will start with, right,
Mm-hmm.
keynoting. We're doing this
Yeah.
now, and I was at Thrive, which is a huge conference for those of us who speak on stages. And call out to Heroic. I was like the queen of all queens, asked people to come up and do their openings, and Stacy and I did. And I went up front, and the only call out to Heroic, only feedback she gave me was to change the tense of a verb. Like, so that's a call out to the program we went through. But as you know, I start my speech talking about standing on the bridge at Cornell, wanting to jump because it's better to die than to die a spiritual death than to choose than to leave. Talk about confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I get off the stage, and the number of people come up to me afterwards and over the rest of the time who tell me their story of attempted suicide.
Mm.
And I literally at some point go, oh, I'm in that club too. It's 2025, right? That was 1981. It never dawned on me that I deserved to have the semicolon, right?
Mm.
That I almost, like, it's just like a story. That's kind of my coping. It's just a story. Right? So it's still dawning on me decades later. It's like when I filmed back at Heroic, someone stood up and talked about addiction. And all of a sudden I start sobbing, luckily quietly, sobbing
Mm.
uncontrollably because I'm like, oh, that's me too. Like, because my cocaine addiction was short and I got out, but like,
It
yeah.
was
So,
there.
So the confusion, yeah, the confusion started the summer between junior and senior year of high school when
Mm-hmm.
my dad, Danny, keep me away from the church, sent me to music camp. And like, he never would spend money, but he sent money to keep me from going to the church that summer. And I became friends with people who, for the first time known to me, were queer. Huge, huge sin in my puritanical cult. And I wrote to my mom and I'm like, what should I do? And she's like, they're sinful, evil, convert them or just stay away from them. And like, that was the first time I was like, they're really good people. How could they
Mm.
be evil? But I thought there was something wrong with me because I was thinking that, right? That's like Satan. Satan is inside me. I'm being torn away. And I even, like, I have a couple journals, and I read a journal from that time, and I had suicidal thoughts then around that confusion because it was just, I used to say, even then I would say to people in the church, my brothers and sisters, growing up is hard. It's harder in this church because it was, and again, Moon's children, blessed children,
Mm.
me, and living this life with my dad and going to a sinful high school and what everybody was doing. Like, it was fucking hard.
Yeah.
And not even knowing what was inside, and my mom leaving, like all of that. So I begin to question, and then I'll make a long story short. I come back from music camp, and like, and there was this guy he's in the book, Brian, and he was one of the men who groomed me, but I had a very inappropriate relationship with him. He, like, this happened. He was an anchor and kept me from jumping off the bridge, but he was completely, and it was been inappropriate to me, even when I saw him 7 years ago, whatever. Um, and he and my mom picked me up, and I remember thinking, I hugged all my friends goodbye. That's like, and I actually liked a boy, like the first time I know that, and like, and I hugged my friends goodbye, but I'm not allowed to hug you, and like, and then when I came home, Moon had declared that only the blessed children could be with the true children, and he did that to keep me away from his kids. And I found out later, soap opera, one of my blessed children friends, my 6-year-old friend, had been seduced by this same Brian, who always
Oh
said it
my
should have been me,
gosh.
right? Like, it's like a fucking whatever. I could go into that for decades, what he did. Was seduced by him, and in order to keep anyone from knowing that she was having an affair and she got pregnant, she spread rumors about me, and Moon heard these rumors and believed these rumors. She said I want to have sex with everyone, and he made this decree to
Mm.
keep me away because I was a bad influence. So I come home from music camp knowing Satan's in me because I'm questioning, and knowing the Messiah knows Satan's in me because I'm questioning. And then I go to school and I think, okay, I made a decision. I never made a decision. I joined the church as a child. I followed my mom. So I'm going to pull back a little bit so I can make an adult decision at the age of 17, which is an adult to go back and never question again. And I start hanging out with people on the outside. And one of all, it's easier and fun. And two, the love was more unconditional. And I'm just, as you saw, I'm racked with confusion, just racked with confusion. And I drink sometimes, and I get really drunk at a party, April 3rd, 1981. And yeah, Adam kisses me, and I've never kissed anybody before, even like this whole emotional weird thing I had the year before with a guy. Wouldn't ever kiss, and I kissed him back, and then I started dating him, and then I had a boyfriend, and all hell broke loose, and I went off to Cornell knowing I would break up with him because I had to, and I had to pledge myself to God, and I didn't, and that brought me to the bridge, and not jumping was like starting to pull away, but I still knew he was the Messiah. I just wasn't good enough to do it. So I can't tell you how many years it actually took me to know that he wasn't, to be able to say that. And and even still, it wasn't until the memoir was published and I found this community that I was like, holy shit, what actually happened in here, like around me and in here, that I began to really unwire it and unhook it. So, when you talk about a cult, people say people are physically out, mentally out, physically and mentally in, or physically out, mentally in, or physically and mentally out. Like there's all these different layers. And it was so in me that I just hated, loathed. I still, I do my blog, my Lisa Kohn Writes blog. It's going to go to Lisa Kohn soon when the new website is out. But I was looking back at an old post to link it to a new post I was writing. And it was a post about still knowing I should have died, still wanting to die. I didn't write that long ago. And I literally, I talk about this in my speech, but I read it in my blog as a present day thing. I literally sent it to my therapist. I was like, wow, look how far I've come. So that was not that long ago. That's still my deepest knowing was that I deserved to die. I should have died. I should have jumped instead of leaving. So I know that's not true, but my body and brain still hadn't been able to put that aside. So yeah, it's like any day now. No, I am there now, but I was deeply, because of who I am and how my heart is maybe, and how open I went into it. And because of all the experiences that happened to me and all of it, it took me a very long time to really, really, really unwire it.
Yeah, it's fascinating how you share there's a difference between the physically being out and the mentally being out. I think it's so interesting that you were clearly caged in your brain for many, many years after that. Yeah. And it's like I can hear that it's like a mental Olympics, honestly. Yes. Where you have all of these beliefs competing with each other in your brain, taking up all this space, and you're like, what is true and real? And the core belief that you held that, this is the Messiah, that is it's been so wired in you that that's truth to you, that everything else feels like is against that. And it's all like this.
Everything builds out of that. Yeah. Until very recently, I used to say what other people think of me is none of my business, and really stepping into me and being me. It's I always, but now you see me really worked hard on that. And, I used to say not that long ago, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to think that? And she'd and I'll be like, wow, I used allowed again. She's like, yep, you used allowed again. It was just,
I can so relate to this, Lisa.
Yeah. It was so incredibly, and again, first most always for me. And this is what I do with my coaching clients. And as you know, I do with everybody, with you, of course I react that way.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Sense.
Of course I do. And it's okay that I do. And I can have compassion with how hard it is to shift it. Yeah. And then I can shift it, right? As opposed to, why the fuck do I still do that? I can't believe, right? Of course.
It makes
People
so
tell
much
me that
sense.
my childhood was hard. Like I wrote a memoir. Like, yeah, that's the other thing I used to be like to my therapist. It was bad, right? And she used to say, I do believe it will get easier when you finally admit how hard it was. And it was when I started doing real intentional body, it started with screaming at God in a church in London, which is a whole different thing, in a safe space with someone helping me. And then I started doing body work, like really like deep body work. Um, somatic stuff and myofascial stuff. And my body, excuse me, everyone would do these. And my body had done stuff like this, like convulsing and retching stuff, but it like the screams and
Mm.
the violent reactions and the shit that would come out of my body. And I finally had to say, if that's what's in me, it must have been hard. It must have been hard. And that, yeah. And so, oh yeah. So it's going back on this, on this stage, and I'm part of that semicolon group. And I came back, and all of a sudden in therapy, I'm talking about how actually hard it was to leave, which is another thing I haven't really, because he was the Messiah. And I lost everyone and everything I
Yeah.
knew and loved. I lost
Mhm.
my community. I lost
Yeah.
people who were so dear to me. I walked away, and I was judged by, or I knew I would be, I mean, I might not have been,
Mhm.
but I knew I would be judged by them for failing. Like at least it was their special hope, and I gave up and couldn't do it because I was so sinful, right? So, which is again why loss is another reason why loss is hard for me, because I've lost a lot over the
Mm.
years, right? I've had to really separate from my mom. Finally, like I have a relationship, but I cannot let her close because she keeps doing the same thing and saying something to me that I would never say to a child. And that guts me completely. And she's not going to stop because it's who she is. So,
You have to
yeah,
set a
you
boundary.
have to set a boundary where, like, I love you and I will not let you close in that way. I will not think it can be a real relationship because it can't. Because then you're going to tell me I'm too hard for you to be around. Great.
Yeah, which is so
Yeah.
like oh, yeah, let's talk about like your relationship with your mom. I mean, when I read your memoir, it was so clear to me from a young age just how much you idolized and adored her. You just wanted to be close to her. You wanted to be with her. You wanted her approval. Which makes sense. Every child wants. I felt the same way with my own father, and he was highly
Mm,
manipulative. And all I wanted was just for him to love me and approve of me. And I was a daddy's girl, and I could feel
mm,
that like you were just aching for her to just just be there with you.
yeah.
And it's like it was clear to me like the choices that you made as you were totally parentified, had to make really adult decisions at a very young age. And all of those decisions you made, I just could feel like just how much you were just aching for her to just love you,
Yeah.
the way that you wanted to be loved. What and you mentioned that at 11 years old, she basically, asked to leave and then she left and then you could
Yeah.
only see her on the weekends and then only a very little bit. How has your relationship with her influenced you as a mom? Because you're a mother,
Mm,
like, because I will say for my own self, motherhood, there was always a shame around it because of my childhood experience. I always felt a lot of shame about motherhood. Was I enough to be a mom? Was I going to be a good enough mom? Was I going to love
mm,
my kids enough? So I'm
yeah.
curious to know, like, how did that show up for you with your own children? What did you intentionally decide or do that you were like, or not do,
Yeah. Um, I joking. I'm really good at book titles, and one of the titles, or talk about parenting, is with my parents. Just do the opposite, right? And as I said to my brother, like, all right, so Danny, I didn't have any child smoking pot at the age of 10, so in, right? I didn't leave and join a cult, so in, like, I'm way better than them. It's like the bar is so low, I'm great. So I went into parenthood. I went in being, birthing my kids and being their mother and raising them, wanting one thing mainly, for them to know that they were loved,
Mhm.
that they were absolutely adored. And I will tell you, my younger child so knows he's loved that when I say that to him, he's like, "Oh, I don't know you love me. I mean, I know Mimi, my mom loves me.
Mm,
I know Papa loves me, but I don't know you love me," because that's how adored he is. He knows he is. And
mm,
so that drove me.
mhm.
That was my basis. And I do have a huge heart. I read some parenting books, and I read one by John Kabat-Zinn, Mindful Parenting. I forget exactly what it's called. I gave it to someone recently. And it was really about like just being present, and like, and your kids. I always remember him saying, like, your kids, their play is their work. So you need to respect it as much. And I went into it very intentionally in that way, knowing that I did not have. I probably overenmeshed with my kids. My older child was very deeply enmeshed, rightly, wrongly, whatever, for a very long time. Maybe it's what they needed. Maybe it's what I needed. I know I healed myself by loving my children. I know giving them the love that I never felt I had was incredibly healing. And my older child, my second child, I mean, he had he didn't sleep through the night until he was 5. And I probably, I mean, it was a bit of contention, and I tried the Ferberite, but it didn't work. I remember my older child, "We can just put him on your breast!" at 3 o'clock in the morning one time when he was screaming. So, I probably let them attach, and I did attachment parenting with him, and he could not be put down because he was only a month preemie. Maybe I went overboard. Everyone told me I went overboard, and I'm like, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine. And I make repair. Like, I do my best to make repair. I remember one time, because my younger child, we could really go like this, and I would end up yelling at him, and I'm like, I'm not a yelling parent. Like, I don't, that's not me. That's not who I am, how I want to be. And I would always put myself in timeout, like when we would get there, and he would freak out even more when I would put myself in timeout. Like, my older child was like, "That's great." And Max was like, "Yeah." And he was like, he hated it. And they, "Don't go away, don't leave me, don't." And I came back one time, and he said to me, and he must have been like 8 or something. I mean, not old. And or maybe even older anyway. They both, around the age of 10, they both had real, anxiety, emotional issues in different ways, which was fascinating because that's the age of when my mom left and we joined. But I came back to him, and I'm like, dude, I love you, you love me. Come here, let's give each other a hug. And he goes, "Next time, can you hug me before you yell at me?" And I'm like, I can. I'm the adult. I'm the one who can regulate their emotions. He can't. He can't. He's a kid. And that shifted a lot. So, yeah, I've never had a stage yet where either one of them hate me. My older child really wanted to be me in many ways until they realized they were transmasculine and many other things, and just then they're themselves, which is great. And they even then they pull back. Like, I can still, when they pull away in a little bit, or when I do something that's not okay, I can feel the like I did something, we were all away, and I did something to my younger child. And he was like, he pointed out his point of view, and I'm like, "You are absolutely right. I am so sorry. Like, you are absolutely right. My bad." And I made repairs, and I could feel myself be like, what if he doesn't love me anymore? Because what I also never had is a relationship with a parent, like when one kid goes to school and you keep having the relationship, or in the adult relationship, and you can make repairs and they still love you. Like, I never had a model of really, still don't, of like good parenting for me, or that relationship that's solid and not all the other things. Maybe you too, by your nodding.
Yeah.
So that's a trigger that can come up. Like, I really messed up and made repair, but what if he doesn't love me in the same way anymore? And I'm like, good enough to go to therapy about that and realize that's about me and take care of myself. And it's not about him in any way. But yeah, I just love them to pieces. And so my brother used to question if he would be a good parent. And again, I'm like, the bar is low, you're going to be better. But I don't think I ever, it's like, great. Like, yeah. Like, it's good. That's the good thing about the low bar, right? Totally. And also when my older child was in college, they came to me one summer and they're like, "Can I see your therapist?" And I'm like, "Sure." And I don't know exactly what they talked about, but I know that their anxieties were like my anxieties. And I remember saying to my therapist, like, I gave them the ideal, like, I gave them a solid, granted, nature, nurture, and this is what I passed stuff on, but they did not have the trauma in any way.
Yeah.
They did not even know about my trauma until they were old enough to maybe understand it. And even now, they keep my trauma, understandably, at a distance. And my therapist was like, "Your trauma, their trauma.
Right.
It's generational. It's nature and nurture. There's no way you don't pass some of it on. But this is yours and this is theirs. And that's okay." And I say that to other people, other parents, other second gens. There's no way you're going to show up in a way that what you went through doesn't affect your kids, but they won't be as harmed by it as you were. I mean, it's in my nature, it's in my nurture, it's in my DNA, it's in my how I parent overcompensated or reacted or whatever. But
There's so
they
much
know they're
grace in that.
loved.
Yeah,
They
I love
know
how
they're loved.
they
They
know
know
they're
they're loved.
loved.
Yeah, they know they're loved.
That's so much. There's so much grace in that, to
Yeah,
acknowledge that, like, look, there's going to be stuff I'm going to pass on to them, but as long as there's so much grace in
yeah,
that, and that to know that they're loved. I remember, so I was always afraid of being a parent. Truthfully, I was afraid I was going to screw it up because I
yeah.
was wired by my father that my mom was just a terrible mother. It was just wired
Mm.
into my brain that your mom doesn't know how to love. Literally, I was told that your mother doesn't know how to love.
Oh,
Can you
honey.
imagine the mind? Like,
Oh,
anyway, so
honey.
I was
Oh,
like
honey. Wait,
terrified.
wait. Pause. Pause. Pause.
I
That's a lot. That's so. That's a lot. Yeah.
Thanks for honoring that. I think my
Yeah.
natural inclination is always to
I know.
laugh and
I know.
reframe it and
I
just
know.
move on.
I
So
know.
thank you for honoring that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. Take your time. We're good. Yeah. Yep. Then when it hits you, you're like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyway, I was really afraid to be a mother. And I remember when my daughter was 6 months old, and I had very severe postpartum depression and anxiety. Not surprising. Right? Like, I was like
Yeah.
so terrified that I was going to screw up in some way.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah.
I remember one night
Oh,
being in the
honey.
middle of the night, and I was just crying. I was just like, oh, I think I'm just not doing this right. And I just remember this overwhelming internal voice of mine that just was like, she knows that you love her. You love her. You're doing your very best. She knows that you love her. And that's all that matters, you know? So, like, I think that what you hit, I think in order to be a good parent, or is that even a thing? Like, should we just, like, sometimes I just want to throw away the word good. Like,
Yeah.
don't you? Like, just
Yeah.
throw it in the garbage. Who cares?
Yeah. Why judge
Like,
it? Just, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But it's just like
Yeah.
love is all it is. And I love how you share that
Yeah.
in your keynote. That's something that you've really hit on, is just first,
Yeah.
most always,
First, most
love
always.
starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts here. And when you love your kids, like you did not get that.
Mm-hmm.
You did not have that solid foundation. I did not. And when they have that,
Mm-hmm.
like think of how much light years ahead of what you were given, you were able to give. And
Right.
that's beautiful because then they have more love in them to
Mm-hmm.
get even more love in them.
Yeah, exactly. Man, this is turning into a therapy session.
I do that.
You have that ability. Who knew? My gosh. That you are going to bring me to tears. My goodness. Lisa.
Sorry. I make a lot of
Oh.
clients cry, but only in good ways. And curse at me. If you curse at me or cry, I'm like, yes, I've done my job. That's what I hope to do in the keynote. Make a few people cry because I really realize something for them. Maybe curse at me because they go too far with like they don't want to look at it. And then I'll be like, thank you very much.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
here all day. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I do want to know though, like, it sounds like the women in your life, like, did you have anyone that inspired you or is there a woman that's inspired you? Like,
Right, Moxie, yes. So I know you said that and it was like going back, but when I thought about it, I will say there's two people now. One is actually non-binary, but I'm going to put them out there
okay.
anyway.
Yeah.
But Andrea Gibson is
Mm-hmm.
a non-binary spoken word poet
Mm-hmm.
who I believe is the poet laureate or the state poet of Colorado, I believe, who their spoken poetry is so beautiful and they are all about love. And even more spectacular about that is they had ovarian cancer, had it twice, and I think they have cancer now, and I think it's ovarian, and I think at some point where they came out and they're like it's incurable or whatever, and so they're managing it. And their poetry is so beautiful, and the gifts they're finding in life, even as they suffer, physically what's going on is just so grounding and inspiring. And so it's a huge call out that like it's people like that who remind me, like, to go back to situations I'm facing and the amount of hate in the world, like that. In the midst of it, those of us, those who do, and those of us who can stand there and hold love and hope while acknowledging, wow, but like hold that space so we can go to love instead of hate.
Mhm.
To that energy is so beautiful. So they are definitely inspire me. And the second one, I always say that Audre Lorde is my patron saint.
Mm.
And I have two quotes here. I have many of Audre Lorde's quotes, but caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is
Mm.
self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. It's on both sides of my computer, so I can see it and you can see it. And I say to freaking pretty much every client, especially my clients who work in social justice or like, or who, sacrifice themselves for everything. And the other one is, I've come to believe that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it misunderstood, for those of us who were not able to have a voice. And if you think back to the fact that she was a Black lesbian, in the 70s, when there was even more, like, it's all still there, but like, the constraints of all that, and was able to leave this legacy and say these truths that still are complete. I was talking to we coach in a Black leadership program a couple years, like when the police murdered George Floyd and everybody was about diversity. We coach in this Black leadership, and I was connecting with one of the clients, and he's like, I just did this panel for students at, I forget which, historically Black university he was talking about, starting my college. And he's like, and it was like me and people like me who've been in the workforce for 40 whatever years, and then people are in the workforce for 2 or 3 years, and the same stories. He's like, now they call them microaggressions, we just call it racism. I'm like, you are right, but the same stories are the same stuff that's going on with racism, with misogyny, with all of that, with even more, as we can not go into right now, prevalent now, right? The ability for anyone, especially back then, to hold that truth. And then we still need these truths, right? We still need these truths. So
Totally.
those are
Yeah.
two people who I look to for, like, you did it. You walk the road and the path. Like, I can keep going,
Yeah.
even at the risk of having it misunderstood or bruised, or my being bruised. I can keep going, talking about love, even when, people react. Sometimes how they do. Yeah.
Oh,
So
beautiful. Will you read
those are
that
my
last
two.
quote again? That was so beautiful. It was so
I have
touching.
come to believe that what is most important to me must be spoken, made verbal, and shared, even at the risk of having it misunderstood.
That's so
Yeah, that's for
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
think like what you're
Yeah.
doing and the work that you're doing and the calling that you have is so needed.
Yeah.
So needed. Keep going with it. Like, you're a light
Thank
to me.
you.
You've been an inspiration to me in so many
Thank
ways.
you. Thank
And
you. Thank you.
and I know, like, man, when you've gone through that shit, it's hard to use your voice because sometimes you
Yeah.
don't even know what it is.
Sometimes you don't even know you haven't been using it. Like, the last few years have really been finding
Mm-hmm.
me, and I really adore me.
Oh,
If I can
I love
be
that.
honest,
Okay, so we got
I
to talk about that. What do you adore about Lisa? Tell me.
what? I adore my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I adore, as I told you the story coming beforehand. I don't know if we have time, but I talk to strangers, and I gave a
Mm-hmm.
stranger encouragement yesterday or 2 days ago, and they cried and thanked me. I adore my ability to see beauty and see love, and to love people, even those people who turn against me. I am able to hold dualities in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's very special. I like to play. I like that I'm laughing. I like that I'm fun. It's just a sense of, like, all those little parts, if we're going to do IFS, internal family system, right? And
Yes.
all the, like, broken EMDR stuff I've, like, worked on and rewired, like the sense of, like, this little beautiful child who's
Mm-hmm.
still there. And, like, we are all so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We just have all this stuff packed around it to protect ourselves. And I see that kid, and I just, and I'm like, I might go to love instead of hate, and I go to what's good about me instead of what's bad about me. And Rick Hansen, I can't speak high enough for Rick Hansen and his work on neuroplasticity. I really have worked to train my brain to see to rewire, to see the beauty and the light and the joy, and to make up the fact that yellow birds means the universe loves me. So every time I see one, I'm like, yeah. And as you know, I have more than 30 because when I showed up to at Heroic last time, 3 people gave me 5 between them. So, right, like it's this message of love and beauty and joy, right? I came up with my positioning statement, and it's I work with leaders and their organizations who want to move beyond their limiting beliefs and behaviors so they can be more effective, resilient, and joyful, because joy and love are there, and I love that joy in me. Like I get joyful, and then I get really happy that I'm joyful. Like it's like this.
Yeah.
I've rewired it that way, but yeah, mostly my ability. Love is my life's purpose, right? And what hurts most is when people somehow see it differently. But like again, I was sick, and like 5 or 6 people got mad at me while I was sick, right, for not showing up well. Like if that doesn't teach you, like it's not about me. So it's just yeah, I guess the love in my heart that I love to be with. And so, yeah.
I have a question about that, and then I'll let you go, I promise. But I just love talking
No,
to you.
no,
So
I
this
could
is
talk
so
to you
awesome.
forever. I don't think I have anything to like wonder. Yeah.
Like, how do you reconcile the love that you have and feel for yourself with the people who've abused you? How do you like, do you believe in forgiveness for those people? Do you forgive them? And do you love them? And how do you reconcile this idea that we need to love ourselves with feeling love for someone who was abusive to you?
It's a good question. There's like love, and there's forgive, and there's condone, right? Like make it okay. And like there's a lot of different layers. If I go to my parents, like, you crawl into Al-Anon, and then they say, we're exactly where we need to be. And like, the concept of everyone did the best they could. And I do know, like my dad, Danny was so crusted over, like so mush inside, but crusted over by all the things that happened to him and how he was raised. And in the last 6 months of his life, when I was his primary caregiver for the last 15 years of his life, but in the last 6 months of his life, when he was actively dying for 6 months, and I doped him on so much morphine, and he'd be like, and I'd be saying to all the people like, high tolerance for drugs, low tolerance for pain, and he'd say, you make me sound like a junkie, and I'd be like, yeah. But anyway, he's funny. Why does everyone get surprised? Why do you refer to me as your father to everyone? Because you are. Whole different. He's like, you just say Danny. I'm like, you are my father. Last I checked, right? Genetics. But anyway, in those last 6 months, like, so I could always have more compassion for him because I know why he was broken. And in the last 6 months of his life, I, fed him ice cream to keep him alive and cracked him open. I visit him every day for like until I thought I had IBS when it was actually cancer, and I stopped. And then he died. So it's the compassion for why they did what they did, right, and why they are the way they are. And so I don't say it's forgiveness, but it's like understanding. Like they both did and my mom was harder for me to come to terms to, because Danny was like, really shows up for you, but can't say I love you, and is an asshole, and, and a lot of whatever, inappropriate, all that. And my mom is like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And like vacant. Like she used to say, when will you get over the fact that I left? You'll be so much better. And my therapist used to say, tell her you'll get over it when she stops doing it, because that's her pattern. Like she gets close and she runs away. She gets close and she runs. To this day, as I said before we started, like the most recent thing she said to me was, your brother is the power of attorney because I don't feel safe around you. And this make me feel safer if he's the power of attorney. I'm like, fine, fuck it, I'm out. Like that was it. I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm not helping. He can help you from Portland, Oregon. I'm out of your healthcare. I'm not doing it. Because you're not safe around me, because I'm so not safe to be around, whatever. Again, people got mad at me when I was sick. So it's not forgiveness per se, but it's understanding.
It's just such shaming,
It's such, oh God, yeah, right? And just like, and if you look at someone you let, whatever, like there's something wrong with me. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. To this day, thank you. There's something wrong with me and how I'm showing up. And that's what cuts me to the quick.
And that's got to set the boundary,
Yeah,
because the more you allow that to happen, the more it
exactly. 2 situations now, like new friend, old friend, where there's something wrong with me and people are pushing me away, and that's like that back to the love inside my heart. That is whatever. It's a growth process. But so yeah, so with my mom, the last time she said that, I'm like, okay, because I would be like, get close, and then she'd do it again, and get close, and she'd gut me again, and get close, and she'd gut me again. Just say things and do things that I would never say to my kids, ever. Even I would never think them, and if I did, I would never say them out loud. Like, you can have a problem with me, but go work it out with someone else. Don't work it out and blame me, kind of thing.
Yeah, she's projecting it onto you.
She's projecting. I really learned that, it's really that. So that barrier is really what helps. Like, what is mine? And it's usually like this much. And like that space, and that's theirs. Like, that's yours. If that's what you're thinking and believing, whatever, and doing, that's actually yours. That's your issue. That's your trigger. That's your stuff. And it's not mine. And that was really hard to get to. Go back to how I was carved, right? That's like, am I allowed? All that stuff.
Oh,
totally. But the ability to see that.
Not feel like you're responsible for everything.
I'm not. I mean, I literally, like, I was responsible to save the world. I was responsible to make my dad happy. When my mom left and I was 11, I was responsible for the cooking, the cleaning, and I've been over responsible for forever. And the ability to be like, it's actually not mine. It's not forgiveness, but it is what it is.
It's just like, acceptance. It's like radical acceptance.
Radical acceptance.
And not expecting any different.
And not expecting any different, for what, really not expecting any different, and allowing the grief. Like, I wish I had a parent who parents like I parent, but I don't, and they can't. He couldn't. I did crack him up at the end. In the end, he was able to be really mushy because he could only move his eyebrows, but and she can't. And I don't think that, I mean, I tried and tried and tried. And so it's not forgiveness. It's just like, it sucks. And the scars will always be there, and the triggers will always be there. Like, your mom leaves abandons you when you're 11, and you can't miss, like, it, whatever. But it's that space to be like, it's actually really not me. And I'm just going to be love, but with space, so that you don't do that to me again. That's on me. So yeah. So that's kind of,
that's
how
beautiful.
and then many people, like, I used to like Brian in the church, I would kind of stay close to him, and my brother would be like, why do you do that? He's actually evil. He's Satan. And I mean, and finally I was like, you are just you are just like 60 years later, or whatever years later, you're still going to tell me it should have been me, and you got married, but it was always me, and like all this stuff about me. And I was just like, you know what? I don't need this anymore. And like, knowing you're alive over there. And so I've learned to just finally cut people off, which was not my pattern. But at some point, if you're not working for me, no. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what's very interesting for me too, is it's like, when you have gone through what you've gone through, and I've had a similar experience, you have a deep fear of abandonment. And so the idea of anybody leaving you, even if they're being shitty to you, is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And then you feel responsible, as if, oh my gosh, it's my fault. I did something. And so, like, coming into this realization that, you know what, actually, it is okay to let go of relationships if they are not, and it'll be okay. And it's not a reflection on you. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong or you're responsible. It's just the pattern of life.
Yeah, it's a pattern of life that happens, right? And you change, and other people can't show up, or people never could show up. And I literally said to my therapist yesterday, because it's Wednesday, I said, with the current stuff that's going on with your friends, I was like, even if it is me, like, I've made repairs, I'm willing to make repairs, but even if it is me, I don't care. Like, at this point, all I can do is make repairs and say I'm sorry and try differently. But if it's still this, like, I'm not gonna harm myself anymore for other people's needs. I will let myself hurt for some things. Like there's a level of hurt that's okay, maybe. Like, and I'm figuring that part out. Like, but something that's harmful to me, I'm really, really learning. There's a lot of personal situations we'll go into at some point when we're not on recording. But yeah, where it's been an incredible, I have some people who've been incredible, not whatever the effort is, not fuel or fodder, but like the place for me to actually learn it. Yeah. And I can't, again, I love myself too much to choose to suffer.
Yeah.
Even if there's something really wrong with me and I inherently am selfish or whatever, or insensitive or whatever, I don't think it's true. I really like when the five closest people get really mad at you when you've gone through chemo and you're like, and I'm so self-reflective. I'm like, what's mine? What's mine? My therapist is always like, other people, I make like take other people's perspective. You were like, come back and know your truth, because I'm always willing to take responsibility for anything wrong. Thank you. Yes.
I
Hello.
get
Right.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And finally I'm like, it's not mine. And even if it is, I'm done trying,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that to
Like,
me is like, that's love. Like, I can't be everybody's everything, and not
so
everybody needs
true.
to see my beauty and light, right? Fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody needs to adore me in the way I adore them. That's okay. Because I don't stop adoring these people. It's
That's so
just,
true. But that's a beautiful, gracious thing to say. Not everybody needs my light, needs to see my light.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Also because
Thank you.
like it takes the pressure off of like, I don't always need to be a light.
I don't actually need to be. I'm just being. And sometimes, like with
Hmm.
strangers on a path or with you, I was a light, right, for a moment,
Yeah.
right, and brought you something you needed, and that's my joy. But
Hmm.
I don't have to try and do that. I'm just
Yeah.
being.
Yep.
Like my intention every day on my insight timer is be me, be me, be me, be. That's it. Like just be. Learn to
Mm.
just be and like be okay with it.
What would your advice be for someone who may be feeling lost and maybe not sure what that be is? How have you helped discover who that be is for you?
Sit still. Sorry. Yeah, sit still, whatever that means to you. Find a safe way to feel. Let them out. Body work, therapy, friend, pillows, whatever. Safe way. Punching
Punching
pillows, crying into
bags.
pillows, screaming in the car when you're all alone. Yeah, like find a way to feel. Allow the feelings. And yeah, I mean, I highly recommend Rick Hanson's Hardwiring Happiness. Like, really, it's possible to like we said, train the brain to work for you, not against you, so
Mm-hmm.
that it's not constantly, and I call it, it's part of me calling out the lies in your head, like realizing it's real, but it's not true, right? Like, so it's not
Yes, it's
true
real,
that
but
you're
it's not
shitty.
true.
It's not
Yes.
true that like, yeah. So just a lot of brain work and just a lot of sitting. And I like, me, you probably saw me like this with my hand on my heart through most of heroic, right? I used to sleep like that every night until finally my hands started going numb. I'm like, okay, I can't do that all night long, but it's not a good idea. But like anything to be gentle with yourself. That's my
Yeah.
story. Like anything, whatever yours is, to your body, to your brain, to your spirit, and tell yourself, even if you don't believe it, it's okay. I'm okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
And look for one way that you are or one way that it is,
Mm.
right? Because that's neuroplasticity, that's rewiring. And we honestly believe, even if we don't believe it and we say it enough, our brain starts to believe it.
So
It's
true.
weird, but it's true, right? It
I mean, you
actually
think about it
works.
like you think about the way that your brain started to believe about the Messiah.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's just taught
It's
to
the
you
same
over and
thing.
over and over again. So
Yeah.
if you want a new pathway, you just got to over and over and over again send the
Yeah.
other message to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, like literally, like one of my challenges has been sleep, and it's way
Mm-hmm.
better, but whatever. And then at one point, my nurse practitioner, because I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
I get treated, and she's like, when you wake up in the middle of the night, just say to yourself, "I will fall back asleep," even if you don't believe it.
Mm.
Say it,
Yeah.
and it comes a point where I believe it, and then it gets hard again, and I don't believe it, and I say it again. But yeah, but like just saying it helps us believe it.
Yeah.
Like brain is a muscle, even though it's not, and we can work it, but
Mm.
we have to let ourselves feel,
Mm.
because otherwise all that stuff in there stays stuck. And yeah, again, there's people to help you,
Yeah.
coaching, therapy, body work, good friend, whatever, 12-step groups, something that
Mm-hmm.
lets you just start to feel some of it.
Yeah, for me, it's this is gonna like the thing that really has helped me is literally I will sit and I will give myself a hug and I
Yes,
will play Gymnopedie, which is a lullaby. Not
yes,
kidding. I will
yes,
literally, when I'm having a moment where I'm feeling like the shame coming up, I will lay down and turn on the
yes,
lullaby and I'll play it over and over
yes.
again. And the other
Love,
thing that
I
I
love
love
that.
to do
Yeah.
is I have like this box. It's my self-compassion box. And I put in it all of the things that make me love myself. You know,
Yes.
favorite book. It has my favorite book in it. It has letters I've gotten from people in the past.
Yes.
And like having that is like a
Yes.
good reminder for me to just like live in that space when I'm starting to feel like I need a little.
Yes.
Who am I?
Yeah.
What am I? Who am, you know,
Yeah.
who be I? Who be I?
Who be I? Who be I? Yeah, I mean, if we were inside, I would show you because I now have, because I put them together. I didn't even get all of them, the 30 plus yellow birds I have, and I took a picture. So now many of them are all in one spot when I often work inside. I would show you, like, they do it. Like, and I literally did make that up. I decided they would mean something in my worst moments, and now they do, right? And yeah, but anything. I wake up every morning and I say, and there's I forget who the person is, but they're like, good morning, I love you, Lisa. And I actually say, good morning, sweetheart, I adore you, Lisa. And then I go through a couple of other things, but I'm like, I say that to myself to remind myself, right? Because not only many of us don't, we were taught not to. We were taught it's sinful. We were taught it's wrong. We were taught you didn't deserve it. We were taught we were a piece of shit. We were like, whatever.
We were taught we needed to give to everyone else.
Yes,
and that's what
right?
the right way is.
Right. Absolutely. Give to them. Like I've had people when I first said love yourself most, they're like, no, you should love me most. No.
Yeah.
No. I should love me most. Then I have more to give to you, but I should love me most. I should put me first.
Yeah.
Except for my kids and people in need, like they're absolutely, but yeah, right? So like, yeah.
Yeah, I love
So
this
that
quote
was
from
it.
your book that you have towards the very end where you say, don't you sometimes just look at your life in awe and stop and realize how amazing it is and how lucky you are? And I just love that invitation because I think it goes back to that neuroplasticity. The more that we focus on how amazing our lives are, even when they can be even when they can be heavy or dark, if we can just focus on the amazing bits like you, the joy, the birds, the yellow birds, that is what's going to help us find and live our most purposeful lives, you know, because when we're in our most joy, that's when we're really able to have massive impact and make a difference in the people around us. But I don't think that joy is happiness. I had this really great conversation and I'd love your take on this too. I had a conversation with someone about joy, and you can't really feel joy unless you feel the shitty stuff. Like you have to feel the pain and the anger and the sadness and the rage and the, all of the hurt and the suffering. That has to be there in order for you to really feel the other side of it. Like joy is like the combination of all those things. And so when I think about you, I think you have truly lived a joyful life, even though there's been a lot of shit, and I'm sure you would love to go back and no doubt like change a lot of it. But like, I think if we were to like close out our episode, I'd love to know from you, like, what is it that this experience has opened you up to? What is it your life experience has opened you up to that you feel like is a gift to the world?
Okay. So, I mean, I will go back to, yes, I will go, when people, like I've had people reach out to me since the memo was published, with a lot of trauma stories. And I always say, those of us who experience trauma or hardship or suffering have a deeper appreciation, when we can get there, a deeper appreciation for life, the simple things in life, the little joys in life, right? Because if you don't have the darkness, the light is not that as bright, right? And when I said that to my husband, he's like, yeah, not really. I'm like, whatever, dude, I do, right? Didn't take that one personally, but okay, fine. So, again, our brains are wired for the negativity bias. We look for danger. We look for what's wrong. So you actually have to work to see the opposite. Very recently when we were celebrating how great I am and how far I've come, I have a great therapist. She said, and I think I said that, she said, what would you like? Do you wish it hadn't happened? And I'm like, well, I can't imagine my life differently because it was my life. And if all of it, but all of it hadn't happened, like I could do without some of it, but it's what makes me me. It's what's carved me in this way. It was so dark that I had to find such light. And even with the cancer, I will take more from cancer than cancer takes from me. And it was a huge awakening of like, dude, get it together, like now, right? Like life is short. And so I do think that is my message, right? That there is hope, that there is love, that there is joy, that there is beauty, no matter how damaged or broken or whatever you have been conditioned to feel. And there are people who need meds, take meds, all of that, to the truth of all of that. That you are actually beautiful, and you are actually the essence of love and joy. And there are ways to let it happen and to let yourself find it. Those lies, those limiting beliefs and behaviors, like those things you had to do to survive. You don't have to do them or believe them anymore. And I can't describe the level of revulsion I used to feel. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I do, my arms are really wide now. You can't tell, right? I do feel like this in so many ways of I am here, and, we all are. I am here. I am beauty. I am light. I am love. I'm doing the best I fucking can. I say oops a hell of a lot. But that's what I'm here to let people, first, most always, really just love yourself. Doesn't make everything better, but it gives you whatever you need to keep going, right? And just find one thing. Find your I love that, your compassion box. Or I do. I have a little, we call it my security blanket, a little heating thing that I put on my chest when I'm hurting. And I'm like, oh, honey, of course you're hurting. Whatever it is, have that compassion and do something that lights you up. Yeah. And keep going and reach out if you want to talk about it. Yeah.
Love that.
Or hire us, because the both of us will come and talk to you about these truths, right?
I know, that's what
we all, yeah.
You knew where I was going.
Well, I didn't, but I was making sure.
Lisa, I would love for you to tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you, and tell them about your keynote and what you're, we've been talking all about it. It's fantastic. So if you love to hear more from Lisa, you've got to book her. I have seen her on the stage and she just lights it up. She's incredible. So
thank you.
How can our listeners get a hold of you if they want to learn more?
After me comes out. So the email is lisa@lisakohn.com. I finally have that URL, and it's KOHN, K as in kite, OHN as in Nancy. That's the hard part. That website is coming up soon. I have other ones. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's got yellow birds on it. My social media is Lisa Kohn CCG. But if you Google Lisa Kohn, I show up. All you need to do is Google my name, because I have prolifically talked and blogged and whatever about my journey for a long time, over 10 years. And yeah, my social media stuff is Lisa Kohn Writes, as in the verb, LISAKOHN And I love when people reach out to me. I love when people ask me questions. I love to share. I have my truth, and I'm learning and changing and growing it every day. I don't no longer believe in truth with a capital T, other than maybe love, right? And there is no other truth. But yeah, when the memoir came out, I was like, if I'm telling my story, it can help anyone else, and it's all worth it. And so the keynote is the same thing. I've had a leadership consulting and executive coaching firm for longer than I should probably admit online. One of my friends is like, you shouldn't say 30 years. It makes you sound old. I'm like, damn it, I'll be 62 this year. And when my therapist is like, but you look 45.
You do.
Like,
you look
that's why
so
I
young.
pay you.
Yeah.
That's why I pay you. Love you. Thank you. I'll pay you double for this one today. That was a good session. Thank you. But we work with organizations, a lot of not-for-profits, a lot of philanthropic funds, a lot of Fortune 50 companies, helping leaders be more effective and productive and going deep inside. So as I said before, the positioning statement is I work with leaders and their organizations and anybody who wants to move beyond their limiting beliefs and behaviors so they can be more effective, resilient, because I've heard that I have that.
You definitely do.
and joyful, right? And so the keynote is that. It's my story, a bit of my story, kind of what I covered today, a little bit more detail, and then the learnings I've had and the path that got me there, right? And my flight model, which is great because it's about yellow birds, FLYT, which is really about feeling our feelings and being able to call out the lies in our heads, and really knowing that we're perfect, that there's no such thing as perfect, but we really are perfect. Obviously, the letters are a little different, but they work when you do it. And then really letting yourself feel total, absolute joy. Like joy is possible. moments make a life, and feel the pain, but like feel the anger. I could never feel anger. I had no anger. And being angry is great. I get angry now. But yeah, so that's, because I do believe that all of us need that. And that, I do know that it will actually, my older child is quite the activist, and yet, and I agree much of what they do. And I also believe that, the corporate world is necessary to fix this world. And I do believe the corporate world needs this message at least as much. Like when my clients learn to love themselves and take care of themselves, the ability they have to embrace their team, to hold their team, to work with their team, to hit their goals, all of that skyrockets, right? Because the inside is in the right place. And I also, of course, will use this speech for survivors because, cancer was just another one on the list. All right. But like, we can take more from all of that than it takes from us. That was not my line. Someone gave it to me. So I think that's probably the best way, the like short and long version to describe the speech. But really, it's really, I just want to tell my story and give the hope that I've worked hard to find and been incredibly lucky to find, because everybody needs a little bit more hope and love. Even the people we like maybe don't like right now, we could use it with a little bit more love. Like, no names mentioned, right? Whoever that is to you probably just is hurting, right? Is in their reactive little kid and hurting and defensive and fighting, and a little bit of love. It's like the wind blowing and makes you go like this, and the sun shining warmth, and you take the jacket off and open, right? And so anything I do believe I'm here to spread a message of love and self-love and self-care. So yes, I am eager to share it with everybody.
Oh, I'm here to spread a message of self-love. And boy, are you spreading it, Lisa. You're spreading it wide. And thank you for spreading it with me and with our listeners today. You're such a gift. Such a gift. I'm so grateful to know you. So thankful.
Right back at you.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I guess that's a wrap. That's a wrap for That's a wrap for Hello Moxie. I hope you felt that unbreakable thread of connection. And until next time, say hello, Moxie. That's a wrap for today's episode of Hello Moxie. I hope you felt that unbreakable thread connecting you to the women of the past, to the trailblazing pioneers of today. Their stories of audacity, resilience, and courage are a powerful reminder of what's possible for you when you choose to live with Moxie.